Okay, so in this video, I'm just going to run through a really powerful keyword analysis, keyword research tool called Market Samurai. Some of you may have heard of it, and I strongly recommend. This was one of the first tools I purchased in my SEO career, and I would strongly recommend this tool to anyone doing SEO. It's just a must-have. It's a one-time fee, and they regularly update it. I've had it for over 5 or 6 years now, and I use it very often. Okay, so when you start it up, the first thing is you're going to have to create a new project. And for this example, we're going to do the pole dance example. So let's use our keyword as pole class. You enter your primary keyword here, which can be any keyword. It's just an identifying keyword, and that identifies your project. Your project file name gets saved with this keyword. So just to tell you that. Then your language and the countries you want to target. I leave that to all countries and territories unless you're doing some sort of local SEO. Okay, so you have a tab you can see over here that's been created with that primary keyword. Now Market Samurai also has some other nifty features like the rank tracker and things like that, but I would just leave that for now, and we just use the keyword research function and the SEO competition. That's the two primary uses of this tool that I found it's very good at. So we click on keyword research. At this point of time, we need to understand that we're really looking for keyword metrics with Market Samurai. That's what it's going to do. It's going to help us analyze the search volumes and the competition for each of these keywords that we've already done the keyword research for. So don't use Market Samurai to scrape and find new keywords, because it's not the best tool out there. And I've shown you in other videos some of the other tools you should be using for your keyword research and scraping. We're just going to use Market Samurai again for the analytics part of it. So let's assume you have one group, and this is our group we have. So we select all of them, we paste them over here, and if there's any repeating keywords, it's going to just take out the uniques. So we hit the add keywords, and here we have all our keywords. Okay, so what you want to do next is click on the keyword analysis button down here. We don't want to generate any keywords again. We just want to do our analysis and find out certain metrics for these keywords. It does have positive and negative keywords, which you can sort of remove some keywords. So if you have a negative keyword such as training, let's assume, okay, and we enter that in here, it's going to remove anything which has training in it. We're not going to really use this function, okay? So let's put it back, because at this point of time, you already know what keywords you need and you want to analyze. Now we click on the analysis button right here. Okay, one more thing I forgot to talk about was you need to set up, go into settings and come to your accounts and set up your account here. And this is your Gmail or your AdWords account, which is of course free. And you need to make sure that this email account has the AdWords activated. That's because Market Samurai is going to access your AdWords. There's no problems as such. It's perfectly fine, and it's just going to go in and access your AdWords account and retrieve data from it. So you need to do that. So you need to configure that one particular setting before you actually before it can grab any data for you. Okay, so let's go back to the analysis. Okay, so come to this screen, and you'll see by default I have this set to my sort of the data that I like to look for, and I'll talk about this in a bit. But by default, it's going to give you the golden rules, and it's going to pull out data like this. And I just I'll try and explain what each of these mean, but I think the majority, the primary ones that I use are just these, and I'll explain what those are next. And you should be just looking at those, because it can get a little complicated if you try and pull out too much data. These columns show up when you check mark these boxes, right? That's how it works. And the ones that I really look at are the total search volume, of course, on a month-to-month basis. So you can get the data on a day-to-day basis, but I tend to look at it from a monthly perspective. So I just set the period to month to month, because that just works best, and because that's how AdWords also works, and it's just a standard way you should be preparing yourself in your mind while doing SEO. Look for monthly metrics, because that can give you projections for the whole month rather than on a day-to-day basis, which can be a little harder and confusing. Okay, so we set that to month, and this filter is of course my filter name, which gives just these columns, which I've already set up over here. I want to look for the average number of people who search for this keyword on a month-to-month basis. That's what's going to show up here, and that's exact match. That's the exact match search. So for each of these keywords, I want to find this data, and then I want to look for SEOT, which is the potential monthly clicks I can get if I'm at #1 spot. That's always a good metric for clients. If you're doing client SEO, you can tell them that, if you're ranking #1, you get that many clicks, and that's generally, I think, about 30 or 40% of your monthly searches. That many people click on the #1 spot. And another metric, which is an absolute have must, is the SEOTC, which is the title competition, which is basically the number of web pages on a global level that mention all of the words in the file, in the title of the page. So which means these are the number of pages that have been optimized for this particular keyword. Because if the person who's done the blog post, or who's made that page, if the page has this keyword in the title tag, then they're obviously trying to do some SEO, or that keyword is a primary keyword and they're trying to target. I mean, it's a main keyword for that page. So you're really up against those specific pages, and Google looks at that. The title tag is a very big ranking factor. So we want to know how many people, or how many pages are out there that have been optimized for that keyword, because it's used in the title. Okay, and then we have the trends, which is the Google Trends data it pulls out, which is basically the month-to-month increase or decrease in popularity for that keyword. So you may find like some keywords perform better around Christmas time, or specific seasonal keywords, and you may want that in some cases, not in all cases. I'm gonna leave that out for now, so I'm going to just uncheck that, because we don't really want that for this specific project. And then you have the SEO value, which is, it's a formula on the sort of a dollar value that a #1 ranking could generate for each of those keywords. And that's again good for clients to show, if you want to show your clients that, if you rank them #1, they can make so much money for that particular keyword. So that's another good metric. Okay, so now that I've explained this, I'm going to hit the Analyze Keywords button, and it's going to go to the Google Keyword Planner and start scraping the data. Okay, so we're just going to have to wait a bit over here until it pulls out the data. So it'll take a little bit of time to get the data, and I'm just going to come back. I'm going to pause the video and come back. Okay, so it's fetched the data, and as you can see, there's some interesting numbers here, because pole dancing classes has 27,000 searches a month, which is a very good number. And then the other ones have, this is 2,900, and of course we're going to look at the SEOTC value right here. This is important. This is the number of clicks that you would get, which is, as you can see, it's about 1/3. a number one ranking keyword would get, the number of clicks it would get. And SEOTC is really the number we are looking at. We want to really pay attention to that, and that's the competition. That's going to tell us how many pages we're competing against. And these are not bad numbers. 4,000, 2,000. These are sort of low competition keywords. This is really low competition. So pole dancing classes is just two competing pages with that in the title. And so I wouldn't go for pole dance training because there's 4,000 competing pages and there's just 390. The search competition is so low. I'd rather go for something like this, which is pole dance classes, and that's it's got about 4,000 competing pages, but the searches are 2,900. And of course, this keyword right here with 27,000 searches and 8,000 competing pages would be a good one to target. And the last metric on this column is what you could tell your client. You could show these metrics to your client. This is what you could potentially make if you were ranking number one every month. Of course, this is an internal formula that they use, and I think this is based on the AdWords, some sort of AdWords data that Market Samurai is pulling from Google Keyword Planner. Okay, so now that we have some data for these keywords, you may want to look at the top 10 rankings for each of these keywords a little more closely to understand if there are any opportunities for some of the keywords that you want to target. I mean, you want to know how difficult it would be to rank, not just based on this data over here, but looking at the actual SERP data of the top 10 ranking sites. And that's where this comes in. So let's assume we want to look at the top 10 data for pole dance classes. Yeah. So we click this button right here, and what it's going to do is it's going to create its own tab over here. We come to that, and then we click on the SEO competition, and it's just going to go out there and it's going to fetch a whole lot of data, and I'll come to that in a bit. So it's going to fill up the page with a lot of detail, and it will take a little bit of time while it scrapes the top SERPs. Remember, this tool uses its own proxies, so you don't really need to add any proxies to it. They have their own internal proxy system built in, which is really powerful, and that's why Google is not going to sort of ban your IP or have you enter CAPTCHAs. So again, here you can always toggle these columns from these checkboxes over here if you don't want some data. When I'm doing my top 10 analysis, I tend to leave all of them on because they're all important metrics, and I'll tell you in a while why. Sorry, you need to click the generate button for it to start finding the results, and did that right now. So while it fetches the results, I'm going to pause the video and come back. Okay, so you can see it's fetching the results in the background and it's filling up the tables. Okay, it can be a little daunting at first, but I'm going to go through the columns, and just to tell you, something marked red means it's sort of competitive. They're doing it right. It's going to be tough to beat that number, or that metric is really strong and powerful. But anything marked green indicates that these are gaps, and gaps in the rankings or in the power for that site, for that ranking site. And orange is like somewhat yes or no, it's in the middle. So what we have here is we have the top 10 ranking sites, the ranking URLs for the keyword pole dance classes. Now let's examine each of these columns. Firstly, we're going to leave these numbers over here as default. We want to hide the map results. We really don't want them. We don't want to localize the results to any specific region or country, so we just leave that unchecked unless you're doing local SEO. And we leave the max backlinks as 1,000 because we want it to scrape as much data as it can to get the metrics. Okay, so DA over here is the domain age. That's how old the domain, each of these domains are. So the first one is 9, then 8, 6, and you can see some of them, all of them have age. So if you want to compete against any of these URLs as far as age factor goes, you need to have an age domain. That's going to be one of the important factors. It's going to be hard for you to rank for this keyword without any age. We see Google is picking up age as a factor. It's a definite factor because 9 out of 10 have of the top 10 SERPs have a lot of age, and that's why we can arrive to that conclusion. And then we look at page rank. PR is page rank, and as you can see, there are a lot of green metrics here, which means these are gaps and good for us. Some of them have page rank 0, just some of them have page rank 2. This is the actual page rank, not the domain rank, which is different. Not the domain page rank, it's the rank, the PR of this URL and not the domain. That's important to remember. And as you can, so it's not that strong. And although I wouldn't use PR as a very, I wouldn't give it a lot of rating right now, because PageRank, as you know, has been discontinued for a while. I think towards the end of 2013, Google stopped updating the PageRank publicly. So you could use it, but don't really give it that much attention. And then we have CF, which is the majestic citation flow, and TF, which is the majestic trust flow. And citation flow, as you know, is based on the number of backlinks. It's a metric by Majestic, which is basically the number of backlinks each of these URLs are getting. The more backlinks, the higher the citation flow. I'm sorry, it's not the number of backlinks, but it's just a metric. And the higher number of backlinks you have, the higher your citation flow can be. You need to, but at the same time, TF is a more authoritative number, because TF is the trust flow, which is basically the quality of each of those backlinks, and that's the metric. So you want to make sure that, so if a site has higher trust flow, if a page has high trust flow, then it's going to be difficult to beat, because the higher the trust flow, the more difficult it'll be to beat. And as you can see over here, there are a lot of green values, which means there are gaps over here. I don't see the trust flow being too high. I mean, these are easy trust flows to beat. If you get a few good backlinks, you can rank over here. So if you're evaluating trust flow for these top 10 SERPs, there are a lot of gaps. I don't see a single red over here, and they're just all mostly green and just one orange. So just one trust flow, which is 21. So you can rank a page and build its trust flow by pointing some authority links in towards it, and you should be able to get more trust flow than any of these sites, and that could get you a better ranking. Then the next metric I see is the number of indexed pages on each of these domains, how many pages they have. And of course, this is the Bing metric, so it could be similar to what Google is. My guess is they couldn't get Google because of the proxies, and they were getting detected. The software was getting detected, so they just switched over to Bing. And as you can see, some of these sites are small sites. Right here, this site has only 4 pages, and I would actually click through to that site to make sure I would double check that to make sure Bing hasn't somehow skipped indexing the pages, because Bing isn't a really great search engine out. We do have a lot of competition over here, because here we have a site with 6,000 pages, 800 pages, and my guess, so these two sites are similar. This site is ranking number 6 and 7 with 2 separate pages for that keyword. And that site has 823 pages, and then 2,000 pages and 898. So there are some gaps here. This site has 35 pages only. This is 23 and 4. So these are good. So this is a good indication, because there are gaps, and you could sort of come in there with a small site having just about 20 to 30 pages with blog posts, and you could possibly start ranking it. So that's a good indication. RDD and RDP are not too important, but just to tell you what they are, then the number of referring domains to the domain, and that's number of backlinks pointing in to the entire domain. So this number is always going to be greater than this number. It's the it's I wouldn't these two columns could actually be ignored for now, because they're just telling me like how many external domains are sort of linking into the entire domain or to this specific page that's ranking. What's more important would be the backlinks to this specific page. So as you can see over here, there are some gaps. This site over here is ranking with 0 backlinks, and this one is ranking number 1, which is 9 backlinks to that page. And if you want to look at RDP, which is the these are like, so if one domain has like 50 backlinks coming into this specific page, then this number would be high, but this number would be low. So this number would be say 1, and this would be 50. So that's like unique links coming in, which is also you want to just pay close attention to that. You want to make sure that somebody's not just blasting, having a footer link on a site and just have a really high number like over here. This is like 20,000. I'm sure he's got a lot of footer links. So there are 20,000 links coming into this particular URL, which is the root page, but they're only coming from 600 domains. So you could, sort of take this metric into account instead of looking at this one and getting like, 20,000 is a large number of backlinks, and you're not going to be able to compete with that. But he's probably got some footer links happening over there. Maybe he's a designer, or he's got some site-wide footer links happening. And so you could just ignore that number. And let's look at the other ones. So there are some gaps over here, like 9,400. So these are low numbers, and you could compete with these. And then again, backlinks coming into the entire domain. So this number will be higher than this, because this is the number of backlinks the entire domain has. Each of these domains, that means all the pages on the domains, what kind of authority and how popular are all the pages, is the entire domain. So that'll give you a good indication on how popular the domain itself is, not just this page that's ranking. So that's another good important factor. The BLEG is the number of edu or gov links any of these sites have, and as you can see over here, none of them have any edu or gov links, and that's why they're all in green. So that's something good. If you could get some edu or gov links, you could probably slip in a little more link juice than all of them have. DMOZ is again the DMOZ directory, and we can see just one site having a DMOZ listing. Title is basically the keyword pole dance classes in the title tag. So does each of these pages have the keyword in the title tag? And as you can see, most of them are no, and just a couple of them are yes. So that's a good indication again. URL, this column specifies, basically detects if the keyword again is in the URL, in the actual URL that's ranking, and all of these are no. So if you could slip in, if you want to rank a page and you put pole dance classes, pole dash dance dash classes in the URL as a slug, then it could it would be beneficial. Description would be the meta description, and the head would be the header, the H1 tag of the page. Okay, so if you click the down arrow, it basically you can drill down a little bit more and you can sort of analyze the anchors and the citation flow analysis of Majestic, which is a proprietary sort of data. And these, you can get a quick overview of the kind of anchor links and the links that this site has. Over here on the left, you have all the anchors, and this is the frequency for each of these, how frequently these anchors are being used in the backlinks. And on this side, on the right side, you have each of these anchors that are here, and it grabs all the backlinks. So that's really good if you want to quickly go back and see what kind of links this particular site has been building. And as you can see, there are a lot of like links coming from a similar site, and you may want to look at these because these could be this is an event site, so they're probably having a lot of events and building backlinks also while they do that. And then you have the other anchors here. So that's something and that's why I like this tool a lot. It gives you a quick overview and analysis, and you can quickly sort of analyze any keyword and find out how difficult it would be to rank the keywords you want. And you can of course save the project and save it for later and come back and expand on it and add more keywords to it, or look at more top 10 SERP analysis and keep saving it as you go along. And I would really use just these two features, this particular feature right here and the SERP analysis. That's what this tool, that's what Market Samurai is best at, and we should just stick with that and use the other tools for the other functions. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.